Ohio gozaimasu. So recording the video, I'm gonna be talking about doing some mixing here. Buddy of mine just goes by Robro. He's a bro, and he's Robro. Anyways, he does some music as a hobby, and he's still learning. And he finished a song recently, and it's all right. But I offered to mix it for him. I think he's still learning, and I think he wants to learn how to mix music better. So I don't know, and this is for Robro himself, if you're watching this. You absolutely have no obligation to use this mix, but that's what we're doing today. So I'm going to be making a mix for him, mostly just to show my process and what I would do, my creative decisions in the mixing process. And he can just use the final output if that's what he wants, or he can just take notes and improve his own mix, whatever. It's his choice. I just wanted to do this for fun. It seemed like a fun thing to do, to work with someone else's music instead of my own. So I do want to get a few points cleared up first. First of all, about the video, I'm not really going to be editing this much. Use the fast forward key if things are boring. I will try to cut out any, long periods of silence, like if I have to use a toilet or whatever. Those will be cut, but otherwise it's going to be mostly uncut. So it might be boring for a watch if you're here for entertainment. Second of all, concerning what I'm going to be doing in this process, this is not going to be like some sort of challenge like, I'm only using the tools that Robro has. Only free plugins. Can I do it? It's not going to be like that. I've recently done the whole like, only the basic tools that Reaper comes with kind of challenge recently with my hotel music. There's a whole write-up about that, as well as the song itself. Link in the description if you want to read about it. I wrote a whole song with just Rhea synth. It's a bumpin' little techno song, so even the drums were built with Rhea synth, a synth that doesn't even have a filter or anything. So feel free to check that out. I'd greatly appreciate the listen, and there's a write-up about how I did all the production and stuff on that. Because I recently already did that kind of challenge, that's not what this is. I'm going to be using my expensive tools. These are tools that Robro likely doesn't have access to because they're expensive. They're part of expensive plugin bundles. And so, first of all, sorry, Robro, you might not be able to create it exactly as I do. But again, the goal isn't really to show him like one-to-one, here's how you do it. It's more to show this is my creative process when it comes to handling mixing, and he can take notes and improve that process in his own way. And that may be finding alternatives or just even foregoing tools that I use. So with that being said, that's what we're going to dive into. It's been so long since I've used OBS, I don't remember my keys anymore. And you'll have to excuse me. I just finished eating a Snickers and got that shit stuck in my teeth. So, all right, to begin, I have his current mix of the song pulled up right here. Before we even dive in, I noticed that it's a very quiet song. It does not look very heavily compressed, and the ceiling on the song is quite low. I don't think it actually has a ceiling. It's just that it hasn't been limited at all, so it's not even nearing the ceiling of the song. And so I am going to probably increase the song's overall loudness, but I'm going to maintain his goal with the dynamics. That's going to be one thing I'm going to try to not change. I'm not going to take a creative liberty with that. If he wants his song to have high dynamics, which I think he does since it's going to be soundtrack music, I'm not going to like super compress this stuff and make it, a fucking brick wall. So I'm going to maintain that, and we'll dive into that in just a moment. But first, why don't we just give it a listen? Let me turn it up a little bit. Yep, yep. Pretty good stuff. There's a couple things I've had open here. First of all, is loudness meter. I meant to inform you of that before I started playing it, but I forgot. I do have a loudness meter attached to it because I wanted to check its general loudness range, and I am right. In decibels, which is what we're going to be working with here, it's like I saw for most of it, I think it seemed to hover around -6 dB. But here, I guess the kind of averaged out to around -4, 4.5, which is pretty quiet for a song. So like I said, we're not gonna overly compress it. So it's probably the luffs at the end of this is probably gonna be not much louder. It will be louder, but probably not by much, because I want to preserve his intention here with the dynamics. Midway through that, I added this EQ in, mostly as a spectrum analyzer. I did add in Ray EQ, but I actually don't like how it handles its spectrum. So I added Ray EQ, or not Ray EQ, MEQ in to have an easier to read spectrum. I had mentioned this to him directly when he first uploaded it, and I listened to the song. I said that there's somewhere in the bass, especially with the cellos and the, I think there's like a contrabass in there, that really seems to be muddying up the mix. That's like the most notable part that I noticed. I did say it's between 200 and 300. My ears were a little bit off. It does seem it's kind of a little bit lower, but it's still kind of within that range, but I think I was just a little bit over. But anyways, just basically the bass range. I think we could do some minor cutting there to improve clarity. In fact, we could just do that real quick. We'll just... I'm going to do something kind of wacky like this, and just put that there and put that one there like that, just to kind of create a shelf. And then we'll just, let's just jump there. Might pull it down a little bit more. Oh, yeah. Especially right here. Yeah. Yep. Just that one small improvement right there. Just cutting the bass a little bit from... this is, of course, the stereo mix, but even that right there improves the clarity quite a lot. So, yeah, I think that's probably the most... As far as he is concerned, like, I think the mix is overall fine. I think this was, like, the one thing that stood out. Everything else was acceptable. And I think just doing that right there... I'm applying it globally, obviously, because this is a stereo mix. If I were Robro, I would specifically go to the problem tracks themselves, the cello... I've already pulled up the tracks here. I guess it's just the cello. He doesn't have a contrabass. The cello goes to such a low note that it almost starts to become a contrabass, I think. So, anyways, yeah, so the cello, I'll just go straight to the cello track and apply that cut. That way you're not affecting everything globally. Anyways, all right. So, actually, it's kind of funny looking at this. It does appear to be in 120 BPM. I didn't actually know the BPM. So usually, like, if I'm going to be working on something like this where I don't know the BPM, and I could just ask Robro to give me the BPM, but I figured I'll just go ahead and toss this in here for how I get BPM. You do have a lot of... a lot of modern tools, which might be better now, but there's a lot of modern tools for detecting BPM, and at least in the past, from my experience, they're not very great, especially if there's not like a very clear pulsing rhythm, basically meaning a four on the floor kind of kick drum thing. Especially if there's not that, they get not great at detecting rhythm. But guess what? Humans are super great at detecting patterns. So what I typically do is let's just start playing the song. And I have just this little tap tempo thing here. So all we do is we just tap to the tempo and it'll average out. Wait, hang on. Huh. I'm also having a hard time. Wait. Why am I having such a hard time detecting the tempo? Right? Let's just loop that. Actually, that's also a good way. Okay, yeah. Anyways, it's clearly 120, so yeah, that's how I would probably detect the tempo. Is ignore the part where I kind of struggle to detect it myself. Either way, it does seem like it's 120. Just also some creative points to throw out there. In a lot of my cases, not always. In a lot of my cases, I tend to try to avoid using exactly 120. That tends to be the default tempo for everyone's DAW. And so you know, everyone's music starts to just have the same tempo. You have a lot of people who just don't change it up. In general, whether it's 120, 130, 140, I almost try to never just rest right on the, you know, numbers divisible by 10. I always bump it up maybe just 1-2 BPM, just to, which in my personal opinion, it does feel like it tends to give just a little bit more life to the song if it's just a couple of BPM faster or slower, depending on the mood that you're going for, off of the any numbers divisible by 10. So, but that's just small creative decision that doesn't have any bearing on the mixing. But while we're on that note, yeah, it's not so bad here. There's another song that he had posted with more emphasis on the piano. I did notice that it was a little bit flat in its performance. And what I mean by that is that the velocity of the piano was not natural, I guess. It was just constant, you know, a constant velocity across all the notes. Here, I think he can get away with it because the song is a little bit more aggressive. It needs a little bit more brightness and attack to it, so kind of hammering those keys, it makes a little bit more sense to have a high but mostly flat velocity on them. But still, I think, as far, once again, for creative decisions when you're composing the song, is I would probably try to add more dynamics to the velocity of the performance. But I don't have access to the MIDI, so I can't really do anything about that, so we're just going to work with it as it is. So here we go. We got the tracks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mute this and shrink it back down. And I'm actually going to put, I'm going to put everything into a folder here just for organizational purposes. Might be handy later too. Who knows? So anyways, and I just want to check how it sounds dry. He did say that he turned off some effects for the stems, so that way it's more dry. So let's just see how it sounds just unmixed out of the box. I'm not gonna lie, I almost kind of like the dry mix more than the final mix. Okay. All right. So because I said that I wanted to preserve the dynamics, I don't normally do this in my own song, and probably to my detriment. This is probably a habit I need to break, but whatever. Normally, I put the limiter, the master limiter, on like near the very end of my mixing. The problem with that is when you change loudness, which is what the limiter is going to do, is it, you know, like different frequencies have different responses at different volumes. So what you wind up doing is you wind up having to go back and kind of redo a lot of the mixing, especially the EQ, a lot of the EQ, whenever you add the limiter on last. Like I said, it's probably a bad habit that I need to break anyways, but that's not today. However, what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the limiter on right away before doing anything else in this case. And by the way, to explain my reasoning why I put it on last is that it's the last thing of the mix. Like it's kind of like you go in a hierarchy. So I start by mixing the tracks, then I mix the master bus, and the limiter is the last thing that goes into the master bus. There should be nothing after the limiter. So of course that means it's the last thing in that hierarchy. So that's why it just winds up being last. So anyways, we're going to just do a pretty simple little mix here with the limiter. Basically what I want to do is I want to set the ceiling. We have a -1 dB ceiling there. And basically I just want to pull it up to where it's just starting to tap that ceiling. Because like I said, I don't want to overly compress it. We want a louder part. Okay. We're starting to lick the top of the ceiling there a little bit. Yeah. Okay, we really licked it there, but that's okay. That's okay. As we mix things, certain elements are going to get quieter, so I'd probably need to adjust this by the end anyways. So for now, I think that's going to be good enough. We're just going to make sure that we don't start making it louder than that, so we can preserve the dynamics. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to organize these by how I typically sort my tracks, and I also want to rename them too, so it's just easier to navigate them. So we have this one here called percussion. I think that's the one I'm looking for. It's so disappointing that it's all in one track. Okay, that's gonna limit how I can mix that. But anyways, we'll just call that drums. I like to put the drums at the bottom. What is this? These are gong. I think those are fine at the top for now. What is this? This is just a empty track. An idea that didn't come to fruition. A story has been told. I don't see anything. Yeah, there's nothing here. Okay, so that's just a blank track, so we're just gonna toss that. We don't need that. These are the cellos. They're kind of acting like the bass, and unless there's a specific one labeled bass. Nope. I typically like to put the bass just above the drums. So since they are acting like the bass, I'm going to put them there just above the drums. What is wood? That's what I have in the morning. Another story being told here. There was an idea that just did not fit. It's what it appears to be. Okay, we'll get rid of that one. And synth, I like this little synth part actually. That was one of the first things that stood out to me when I was listening to the original version. Is I like this kind of little section here, where the instruments are kind of like dancing around, playfully with themselves. That sounds inappropriate. I thought he said this song was 3/4, but I'm noticing things are not quite lining up in 3/4, which So I'm gonna set it back to a 4/4. Yep, that seems 4/4. I thought he said he was 3/4. Okay, well, all right. Anyways, we'll leave the synth there because it kind of interacts with the cello. What is this? Long strings, kind of being a pad. That's fine there. Actually, I might move that up as we find other instruments and what they're doing. Pizzicato strings. What is it? I like that, man. You just put some. You just do a little of this. Hang on. We gotta have a little fun for just a second. You do one of these numbers. All right. You feel me? You feel me? Where's my kick? There it is. Oh yeah, that's a good snare right there. Okay. I'm gonna call these the piss strings. Hell yeah. I'm gonna call this the fun drums. Send those to the piss strings. And send them over here to the 3/4. You picking up what I'm putting down? We're gonna toss on a little G fader here. Okay. Do this. Set that up. You feeling me yet? You feeling me? Well, let's do it to like 150. I want a little of that. 25%. All right, you ready for this? Oh. Oh my god, I ruined it. What am I doing? Oh my god. We could get some of that. Hell yeah. That's just bonus. I don't even know if that makes sense. I just wanted to add it in there. All right, here we go. This is fucking fire, man. It's got kind of a triplet rhythm. Hang on. We gotta adjust this. Man, that's pretty good right there. I like that. Hang on, we got some OTT going. And then we throw on a little reverb. Hell yeah. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Goofy little sidetrack there. Okay, let's get rid of that. No more fun drums. We're done with the fun drums. It's serious time. Okay. Anyways, I like that little rhythm there. Like, so here's the thing with this. This kind of goes back to the velocity thing. It sounds very robotic and very stilted because there's not like a lot of variation in the velocity, and that's actually okay. What happens is it winds up emphasizing the like sound hauntiness of it, and that's totally okay. It's just that when you start getting into stuff that's trying to pretend to be like symphonic orchestral stuff, it really stands out. Instead, you can lean into that character, that sound fonty character, and kind of, toss it into like some fucking EDM trash. And man, it's pretty fun. I like that. I want to steal that. I'm going to remix that, man. It's a fun little pattern. Okay, anyways. We'll put that just above the strings. Okay, well, I lost track of things. Okay, we have a little tiny bit here. What? Just a little. Woo! I'm guessing that's emphasizing. Is there another layer for that? Maybe this? Okay, yeah. I want to put that here since it's kind of emphasizing those two layers. And we have the piano. Oh, I need to change the name too. Viola, we'll just call it Viola layer. This is synth tickle. This is kind of tickling that the little space in between here. This is just like pad strings. Pad thai. All right. Wait. Oh, wait. No, I thought there was a piano that came in sooner. I guess not. Yeah, I guess not. Okay. Let's put that just above the pad. Oh, it is above the pad strings. Okay. All right, cool. Piano. And we have the nylon. What is nylon? Nylon guitar? Yep. And this one? It's interesting that you kind of start off with that, but you never bring that concept back in. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just something I'm pointing out in the creative decision here is that you kind of start off with this, like the whole orchestra is together at the intro, and then from there, the orchestra never really comes back together. It's kind of doing this tickling thing like I was talking about over here. So anyways, we'll just call this nylon, and that's music box, but now I can only think of mailbox, so we're gonna just call it the mailbox. Oh, you got one drum track for just one tiny little section here. Ah, that was worthwhile. That tied the whole song together. All right. The most important track. All right. Okay. And what do we have here? Hell yeah. All right. Fire. Okay. All right. We got some clarinets. I want to put that under... I think under the piano. Piano's probably going to be near the top, except for the mailbox and the nylon. And the bells can stay at the top too. Actually, that's perfectly fine. Okay, we got everything sorted and named. I like to organize my tracks in this way. Just it helps me know where stuff is. There's not really any sense to how I organize it. There's sort of a hierarchy of like the most important tracks kind of in the middle with the bass and the drums down at the bottom. And then any kind of lingering parts are near the top, except often I like to put the vocals at the top above even like something like the bells, anything that's sparse like that. So, but there's, I mean, that's just how I lay out my tracks for me to find stuff. There's not really any sound reasoning behind it. I want to keep all the drums together, so even though it's basically just one track with just the tiny little bit there, I'm going to put those two together. And I want to put all the strings together as well, because I want them all to be in the same room. We're going to be using that folder later, so we're just going to call this string mix. And we're going to call this one drum mix. I capitalized the I, that's fine. I think these ones can just be on their own separate track. I don't think I need to bundle them into a folder, but we'll see. For now, that's fine. I think we got our track set up how we want. The last thing I want to do, I want to do this early. Once again, this is something I typically kind of throw in near the end, but I'm just going to do it now. I'm thinking about it. We're going to call this verb send. And I'm going to color it blue just so it's distinct from the other tracks. And I could just route the whole folder into that, but I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to route these. Actually, for now, I'm just going to leave it at that. Actually, I'm not going to do the routing just yet. I really just want to focus on getting the mix right. So where do we start? I think the drums is always a good starting place. We're going to be coming back to the drums probably frequently throughout the mix. Okay, so one thing I want to do is actually, I noticed that we are clipping. I don't. Did I route it or something? Why is it? What is clipping? Maybe that clipping was from when I had the fun drums attached. So. Never mind. Okay, we're fine. We're fine. All right, so we're gonna start with the drums then. It's a good starting place. I'm just gonna loop a section. That seems pretty good right there. This is kind of like, well, what's going on over here? Oh man, you have so many things attached to that layer. It sounds like you have some reverb on that. God, man, you've attached so many instruments to the drum track. That's sad. All right, so I want to see what we're dealing with here. So normally I'd probably just use RayEQ, but again, I like the spectrum analyzer of MEQ better. It's easier to read. And I kind of want to just boost it up a little bit because it's a little bit quiet. So we're just going to bump the gain. We can see what's going on at the lower end better. It seems like overall this is relatively pretty fine, but anything really definitely below 20 hertz is unnecessary, but arguably even up to 30 hertz you really don't need to do anything. You can start making a cut there, so that's where I'm going to start. We're just going to do a high pass. We're going to set it to the 2 slope, and we're just going to put it to 30. And there we go. That removes some unnecessary frequencies. That frees up a little bit of headroom, so we got that there. I'm hesitant to do too much EQing because, of course, EQing any part of this is going to affect other instruments too. Like, for example, I could bump up the plastics here, but then now you have this really harsh part in the bells. But you really get that duck, 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 duck with the kick. So there's not really a lot I can do for the mix overall with this because I'm going to start affecting other instruments too. So we're just going to deal with it as it is. One thing I want to do real quick. Oh, actually, what do I want to do? I think I just want to put on an M compressor. We're gonna just lightly compress this. Ratio of 2 is fine. Like I said, we're just doing very, very light compression. I just want to tame the absolute top of the hit. Which, by the way, what does that look like? Let's get a G clip in here just to see what that's like. We got a pretty sharp attack. So yeah, we kind of want to really trim that just a little bit. So knock that down to like -14. We could probably do a ratio of 3. That's fine. Okay. That's probably going to be fine for now. We might come back and address this some more later, but at least getting started, that's a good starting point. We'll come back to that later. All right, the cello is definitely something that needs to be fixed. I want to go over here to like this really loud section. Because I already mentioned that there's some stuff going on with the bass. So first, let's just deal with that. So it's kind of acting as like the bass of the song. I feel like I'm having to shout over this song. Come on, man. Okay, I'm just lowering it in my headphones. It's kind of acting like the bass of the bass rhythm of the song. So I don't want to cut too much of the bass, but it definitely doesn't need all of that below it. So I don't know what's going on here with my Ray EQ. Wild. So anyways, let's put it at like 70, and we're just gonna do a high pass. To kind of create a stronger slope, actually, I'm gonna put that at, let's put it at 40, and then we're gonna do this one at 70, and also high pass, and that makes it a sharper slope. So our main concern was like right around here. Let's put it to like 240-ish. 200. And a band. Okay, for the handling the bass, that's pretty good. We're also gonna remove some of the highest frequencies because once again, we don't need that. So, it depends on the type of song. I'm gonna say, let's start with 1500, or not 1500, 15,000. I think that's pretty good. It does lose some of the brightness, so maybe we'll want to adjust that later if we feel like it's too dim. But I think for now that's okay, so we'll leave it like that. Next thing I want to do is I want to add some space to it. So we're gonna put on a red line reverb, and we're gonna go Cello Studio. As the name implies, it works great for cellos. And we're just gonna lightly mix that in. And I want to, first of all, in this one, I want to put a minor little reduction on it there, and a minor little gain reduction on it here too. We might play around with those values later, but for now, that's good. So. Yeah, I kind of wish. What I would probably do is that cello plays such an important part that, you know, I would probably, if it's multiple cellos playing, it kind of sounds like it. And this sounds like solo. I would probably actually double that up. We can even do that. Hang on. All right, we got it saved. So what I'd really like to, I was thinking about using twin pitch. But actually I want an octave above, and well, can twin pitch do that? Twin pitch tends to crash Reaper, unfortunately. I love the plugin, but I don't know why it just crashes a Reaper. We'll give it a try, but it might not work. Hey, it worked. All right, yokata. Okay, so twin pitch. What we can do is, I normally set this. I like twin pitch because you can make really wide sounds. I forgot what the effect is called. There's this effect where you can basically just offset the left and right timing just by milliseconds, and also just very marginally adjust the pitch. And then the way that our ears interpret sound makes it sound super wide when you do that. And twin pitch gives you like a lot of controls for that with it, which you can do manually. You could set that up manually, but it basically just lets you do it all from one plugin, which just simplifies the process a lot. So, however, that's normally how I use it, but it does have pitch adjustment, and I think you can go up to, 1 octave. So maybe that'll be fine. So, what I want to do with the cello is, first of all, we're going to put that just after the EQ, and the dry, we're going to turn the dry off, and we're going to turn the left and right pan up. 0, 0, okay. We'll put the left on the left and the right on the right. There we go. Maybe not that wide. We'll start with that wide anyways. And And we'll put this one just, I don't know, 10 milliseconds. That's fine. And this one, we want to move it up an octave. Is 1200 cents? I think 1200 cents is 1 octave. I'm not honestly sure. I guess we'll find out. If it sounds like Dookie, then we know that that's not correct. All right, so let's see how that sounds. Okay. So I think I'd want to move this down and the level down. And I don't want it panned quite so wildly here. In fact, actually I want to shift these. I want the bass to be on time and the higher pitch one just a little bit shifted forward. And then I don't want it to be super wide like that, so we're gonna bring it in. I think 40 is fine. I don't know how I feel about that, actually. It's just different. It's not like bad, but it's different from the original song. But I do like that it gives me a little bit more flexibility. I suppose we could also just technically just have two of the same track. If we just adjust the pitch, let's use the micro pitch. I actually think that sounds better than going all the way up to full octave. So I might leave that. That makes it sound wider and have more space. Now, one thing I do want to do, it sounds kind of contrary to what I literally just did, is I added space to it. But what I want to do is I want to add a G stereo here. And what I'm doing here is I'm collapsing the base of it to center. So that's because we really don't want a super wide bass. I'm going to put it pretty low. I don't want any sort of phase cancellation going on here. Seems okay. I could probably bump that up. You do get some weird phasing going on, so maybe like 135. You don't hear the phasing. I think that's okay. This is just a little bit too long of a reverb. I want to bring that down, but I do want to pull it up in the mix a little bit. Okay. All right. That's not bad. We could probably pan this a little bit more to the right and fix the high cut, open it up a little bit. Okay. All right, cool. Also, I'm very glad that twin pitch is working here. What I've noticed with twin pitch, and I really should probably I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think the developer made twin pitch for me specifically. I might be wrong about this. There's a little bit of a story though. I went to KVR, which is like a plugin forum for music, and I told them about this process where I would duplicate a track, take one of the recordings, shift it by a few seconds, pan the 2 tracks, and then, like high cut one of the tracks to create this effect. And actually, it's a known effect. Once again, I forget what it's called. There's actually a word for it. But it's that kind of thing where you have like micro shifts in timing for basically the same sound, and also pitch adjustments that our brain can interpret as like direction. It's also how they create like the virtual front and back whenever you use headphones. It feels like you can hear something behind you. It's using a very similar principle to that. It's not quite the same, but it's same general idea. So, I went to the KVR and said, I just want a simple plugin that's not expensive, that doesn't have any weird DRM, that does this. And, a few days later, dude was like, yo, is this what you're talking about? And it was like $7. And I was like, oh man, yes. I'll pay you all 7 of those dollars for that. So I'm not sure if he made it for me. If he did, thanks, man. Very nice of you. Or if he just was coincidentally working on the same thing shortly after I had made that request. But either way, I've talked to the developer before, and I should really send him a message and say, hey, your plugin tends to crash my workstation sometimes. It only seems to crash it when the project is like, if I tried to add it late into the project's life, then it crashes. But if I add it early on in the project's life when there's not too many plugins, it has no problem from there on out. I don't know why. It's weird, but c'est la vie. Anyways, story aside, give me just a moment. I need to take a toilet break, and then we'll get right back to this. Okay, back to it. All right. Okay. I am getting a little bit distracted, lost in sauce here, like really working on the spacing and all that. We're going to go through that later. Right now, I just kind of want to do some high level mixing on this, which is mostly just like basic EQing, very, very basic EQing, shelving off or high passing or low passing some frequencies and stuff like that. So we're going to leave the cello alone for now, and we're going to move on to there are these 2 little bits. We'll deal with those little bits later. Oh, we put the synth in here. What is the synth doing there? It's not a string. I want to move this one up here too, since it's not like part of the main string section. So we are going to move on to the pizzicato strings, the pretty fun strings. Yep. Let's look at these in MEQ. Yeah, that's what I thought. They have some bass down here. So I kind of like the bass. If I was able to, I would probably use like some compression, some ADSR filters, some stuff to adjust the envelope to really give them a punchier attack. Because the thing is that you'd have that punchy attack that would help cut through the long legato bass of the cello. But right now, I don't really have that kind of control because it does sound like it's a separate layer. So I would split them into 2 separate tracks to do that. Here since I don't have that kind of control, basically, you're going to wind up with these 2 bassy frequencies kind of fighting for attention. So I would cut one of them. And that is a creative decision to make. Since looking at the song, it feels like this cello plays a larger role than the pizzicato strings. I think I'm going to cut the bass in the pizzicato strings. I'm going to de-emphasize the little bassy plucks. It would be cool because if that bassy little pluck was going throughout the entire song, it would give a consistent rhythm to the low end, and I think that would be more interesting to the song. But considering that it's really just for this intro part and then really not much else, it seems like it would be better to just de-emphasize it, so it doesn't feel like a core part of the song. So that's what we're gonna do, is we're just gonna kind of high pass there. That's a little bit too much. There's kind of like a clicking I'm hearing. I think that mostly just comes from the like really high frequencies. If we boost this up, you can see it goes all the way to 20 hertz. So I want to kind of trim the trebles. Actually, that was pretty good. I still hear that clicking, but it's made much more subtle by the low pass. I think we can get away with 9,000. Okay. I think for now that's going to be fine. Let's go through the pad strings. These seem fine. There's weird... That's strange. I don't know why that is. It seems like some sort of problem with the sound font itself. So we'll still high pass it. These strings here, these pad strings, kind of add a lot of air, a lot of breathiness to the song, so I actually kind of want to emphasize that. And we'll use a tool to help that later, but for now, I'm just going to put a high shelf and just boost it by like 1. And we want to pull that Q out. Bring it to like 6,000. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Add some air to it. Yeah, it's subtle, but adds just a little bit of air to it that, like I said, we'll emphasize later. Gosh, I guess I won't ignore this. It's just such a small part. So I know I said that I'm just going to be working on just high-level stuff, but actually, let me just put that to 1 bar. I know I said I was just going to work on high-level stuff, but since this is such a small section, I just want to kind of do the processing that I want done with it, I think, in general. So we're going to just put array Q on it. Okay, so to explain what I did right there, sorry, I just wanted to concentrate on doing it instead of talking. What I wanted to do was, I've emphasized the points that I want to in the instrument, just like the pad strings. I added just a little bit of airiness into it, and then I kind of put a little bump here. What I was doing is I put more than necessary gain on it to try to find the frequencies that sound nicest, and then I brought it back down so that way it doesn't sound quite so harsh. So and I'm not sure if I'm really happy with that. Hang on, we're gonna go through that process again. I think that's better. Yep. All right, next I'm gonna put on my fancy expensive preamp. This is gonna help bring in that air. Where was that bump that I put? 3200. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. And we want to... Let's add the spectral pan. I want to make this nice and wide. Oops, we don't want 64. Let's just do this first, and then we'll fix the waves. And reduce that. That makes it nice and wide. And then finally we'll top it off with some red line. Okay, that seems alright. How does it sound? Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. I also realized I didn't put any of the red line. I didn't put any reverb, not necessarily red line, but I didn't put any reverb on the pizzicato strings or pad strings. Probably the pad strings. You know what? What I want to do with the pizzicato strings, I think should be mostly dry, but I do want to add a little bit of space to them. So which one do I want to use? I think I'm going to use red line again. I kind of like their room. Studio A, is it? I think. This is physical. Yeah, okay. And we want to turn the mix down. Let's leave it at 30 and then bring it further down. Yeah, I think it's A, but let me check B real quick. Ooh. Actually, I kind of like B more than A, so we're gonna leave it with B. That's fine. So it's just very, very moderate amount of space added to it, and don't worry, we're gonna be adding plenty of space to this track later. But for now, I just want to give it some natural space. Now the pad strings, I want it to be more lush, so we're gonna really give it some spaciness to it. So I'm actually not going to use red line. Red line, actually, the cello room would be fine, honestly. But I'm feeling spicy. We're going to use some Lexicon 224, and let's put it to large concert hall. Yeah, there's kind of like a cello that's also in there. I kind of want to, kind of want to bring that down. I really want to. I really don't like the cello layer in there, but I can't like do anything to get rid of it. I wish it was just the violins. I just want that air that the violins have. Oh, what can we do? Okay, that's pretty fine. I want to add a lot of the modulation. That's not that one. The pitch shift. That's pretty good. I really love the character of the 12-bit reverb, but I'm gonna leave it on modern. If we're at any of my own music, I'd leave it at 12-bit, but it has such a distinct, unique character to it that, you know, it's not neutral. It's not neutral at all, and I'm gonna try to work somewhat neutrally with this. I don't want to add too much of my own character to Robro's song. Sounds a little bit thin now, to be honest. But what it is it's just that there's no... It's okay. It's probably fine. That's gonna bring in the bass. Okay. But it's a little bit loud. And I know it's kind of silly, but I'm just gonna... I want to cut some of this air that I've added back in at the very, very top end. Okay. That's probably fine. It's still a little bit loud for my taste. Yeah, I wish there was... Yeah, I've kind of unbalanced it here is what's happened. Okay, I think that's better. All right. That pretty much gets the strings all put together. Let's kind of fast forward to one of these louder sections. These are louder than I'd want. Does feel like it leans more towards the right side. It's interesting. I mean, it shows that it's relatively balanced here, but I don't know, maybe I'm going deaf in my left ear or something. I don't know what's happening there. I should trust what it shows on the readout, but I'm not. I'm gonna just before the spectral pan, I think. Wait, where does this go? 70? This goes, yeah, they both go to 70. I mean, this is like almost 1% higher, but whatever. Oops. Well, that's fine. We're gonna pull this towards the left a little bit. I wonder if it's just because there's like more higher frequencies. Let's just bump this up to, yeah, 26 waves. That's fine. Yeah, because it's technically showing that that it's slightly panned more left. But it's still, I'm still hearing it more out of my right ear, so something funny is going on there. I'm gonna have to fuck around with later. Or not, it's not super important. It's such a tiny portion of the song, I could just leave it like that and just not fuck with it. Okay, well, that wraps up the strings. They sound alright. I want to do like one final little EQ, and I want to put some minor compression on it, I think. Yeah, and we're gonna put one of these trid A's on it. Let's put it, I guess the intro is kind of the most exciting part for the strings, so we'll just leave it there. So kind of feel like this is a little bit loud. Let's reduce it here, yeah. Okay, I think that's slightly better. I don't actually want to touch this equalizer just yet. I know it sounds weird, but I'm probably gonna have to come back to the cello later and make some adjustments. Actually, no, we just basically want to leave that at 0. Let's just check a before and after. Yep, that's pretty good. All right. Yeah, I don't really have a good like waveform analyzer, so I just use G-Clip and look at its waveform. Yeah, I should probably get a good waveform analyzer, but you know, it works. It works. All right. So I think that's good for the strings for right now. Let's move on. What do we want to handle next? Since we're still kind of dealing with the intro, let's just deal with the intro instruments here. So we have the nylon and mailbox. And actually, since these both are kind of in the intro and that's it, I'm going to group them up together. We're just going to kind of process them the same. First, what I want to do is I want to use these to emphasize the space. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pan them quite hard, actually. There we go. There we go. Mailbox will go to the left. Let's just do it at like, I don't know. We'll start with a 40%. And then maybe we might need to bring it in afterwards, but that's a good starting point.
mailbox is quiet. Oops, I don't want to mute both, just the mailbox. No, it's the nylon. So we want to add a little volume to nylon. Yeah, there we go. That sounds quite nice. I'd almost actually say we could make them even wider, honestly. There we go. Alright, and we're gonna just EQ them together because I'm lazy. I think it's gonna be mostly the same. I might want to... Yeah, you know, I kind of want to brighten up the nylon a little bit. It's okay. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Right there. That's what I want. Yeah, it seems pretty good. Cool. And maybe we'll do something kind of similar for this one. For a music box, it doesn't sound quite as sparkly as I would hope it would be. Yeah, you get a lot of the kind of like mids and basses in there, but the sparkly, bright, metallic part of the music box is really like de-emphasized. Like it's been high shelved off quite a lot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little wild thing like this. Just put that at 180. And I think we're gonna bump this. Actually, what we probably want to do first is with this high shelf, we'll just boost that. Probably right around here. Similar to the guitar. That's why that works out so well, I think. Unintentional genius? Look at you, Robro. That's why it works so well to have them panned left and right. These two work together very well because they have similar, like, strong frequencies in that range. Obviously, if they were like main instruments, you wouldn't want them because they'd be competing for the same space. But in this case, they're kind of combining their power together to create basically a new sound. So, wow, Robro the genius. It almost seems like there's another layer accenting it. I don't know. That's kind of weird, but I'm really de-emphasizing that and bringing up the metallic part. And I want to remove some of everything past there. Okay. All right, I want to give it some attitude with the Comp FET 76. It's a FET compressor, which is good for, as the British YouTuber informed me, it adds a lot of attitude to the sound. So that's what I want to do. So we're gonna really add some attitude to it. And one final thing I might want to do, let's interesting. Where does those kicks land? Not on beat. Interesting. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that because I didn't notice anything just while listening. Maybe that's what was throwing off my beat detection earlier, but yeah. Is it like on thirds or something? Or sorry, triplets? Eighth triplets? It is eighth triplets. That's why I was feeling a triplet rhythm earlier. That makes sense. Wow. Okay. All right. So they land perfectly on beat. Yeah. As well as the mailbox and the nylon. So I'm gonna take a little wacky approach here. We're gonna really zoom in. And I'm going to turn off snapping, and I'm just going to kind of boop. And I'm going to take this one and boop. There we go. I think the mailbox, I might have done a little too much to it. Maybe not enough for the nylon. Okay, that seems right. And the nylon, wow, it's gotten really quiet. There it is. Okay. All right. Yeah. That way it's not landing perfectly on the kick. It gives some space for everything. One thing if it was my own music, again, we're talking about like, these are creative decisions that would like really create the kind of character of the sound that would define your own sound. I'm really tempted, and it sounds crazy for like an orchestral song, but I'm really tempted to, rather than offset them like that to give space, to sidechain them, kind of like what I was doing with the fun drum earlier. But it would be more subtle, you know. It would be a more transparent kind of sidechaining, so it just very quickly ducks it just for the kick, just to get that initial attack. And then these come right back in, so it would be super fast. It wouldn't be as aggressive and noticeable like I was doing with the fun drum earlier during the stream. That's something I probably would do for my own music, but that does add sort of a distinct character to it. I think the more natural response, especially for orchestral music, is, you know, not everything's going to be playing on beat. So by adding just a few millisecond offset from the beat, that's going to make it more natural and feel more real, I guess you could say. So again, I'm kind of taking choices here that are more neutral in the character, but if it was my own music, I'd probably go with the more character defining kind of choice, where I would probably do a very subtle side chaining instead. But anyways, I think that's going to be fine. One thing I've talked about in the past too is trying to refrain from sticking so closely to the grid. Even for drums, usually turning off snapping and manually placing them, you're gonna have some like minor error in exactly where you placed it, especially depending on how zoomed in or zoomed out you are on the MIDI roll. That's one way of doing it. You can also add humanize or combine both of them. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I just, hit the humanize key and let whatever random algorithm apply, random offsets to it. That's fine. Depending on how much I want to emphasize the human part of it, that might be okay. Sometimes all I do is just, like I said, I just turn snapping off, and then I just manually draw the notes in, and whatever error naturally happens from where I draw the notes is totally fine. And then sometimes I combine both to make it like very not quantized to the music, and that's okay. It depends on the situation. Just a tool in your toolbox, that's all it is. So anyways, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Maybe just a little bit There we go. Okay. And we're just gonna kind of pull this down a little bit. And add some space to it. I want some Lexicon 224. Let's do a room. Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. Next I'm hearing the bells there, so let's take care of those. I like those bells, actually. Nice drama, nice tension added to it. So there's kind of a contradictory thing I want to do. It's going to sound strange. So I want to emphasize them while also making them subtle. I want to make sure that you can feel that drama that they add, but I also don't want them to be distractingly loud in the mix. So we're probably going to make them nice and wide. I want them to almost feel behind you. So we're not going to be doing like that pseudo virtual surround sound kind of thing, but we're gonna make it two-dimensional behind instead of a fake. I don't know what I'm saying. Just trust me, all right? Just trust me, okay? We are gonna save though, because the best way to achieve this is with twin pitch. It didn't crash. Hell yeah! All right. I'm going to set it to micro pitch. I think we need an EQ to emphasize first before we start using Trid-A. Yeah, that's okay. I don't know if I'm entirely happy with it. We need to remove that. And actually, with the twin pitch... Oh, you know what it is. Of course, I'm so dumb. I forgot to pan it. There it is. There it is. I do want to try adding a little attitude to it. We're really attituding it up. Okay, now we can add Trid-A in there. Okay. Yeah. Alright, I like that, I like that. Okay, you gotta remember to actually pan the damn thing left and right. Don't ask why I didn't notice that, okay? Alright, sometimes, you know, your ears just aren't always functioning, okay? Alright, we've nearly mixed everything now. Man, you know what I really want out of those bells? We're gonna try something wacky here, okay? I want more from them. Rate of pitch doesn't have an offset, does it? I don't think it does. I might have to use twin pitch again, but only just to... I want to add an octave to the bell. And it doesn't have an offset, timing offset. Okay, so we're going to use twin pitch again. Let me save. You never know when this fucking plugin's going to crash Reaper. Like, it only crashes whenever you add an instance of it to the project. It never crashes while using it, right? So we'll leave the dry alone. We'll turn off the write one. That's fine. We're going to take this one. We're going to bump it up to 12, and we're going to add quite a delay to it, like 24. Yeah. I really wish I could emphasize the attack of the bell more, just a little bit more. That's what I was trying to accomplish with adding the attitude to it. But I'm not really getting quite what I want out of it. Again, I want to try something wacky here. We're going to throw on... I thought it was in my favorites, but maybe it's not. I guess we could just use drum. No, I don't really like... Nah, it's not really a good one for accomplishing what I want to do. Okay, we'll do transient shaper. And before twin pitch, actually, we want to modify the attack. We're going to go kind of crazy here. And we'll reduce the sustain. Yeah, that is kind of fucking with this. I tried to bring it back to Unity, but the release timing is now kind of a little bit different. Let's add the high pass in. Let's actually put it at like 1700. Because it is supposed to be kind of a background. Yeah, that's where it's at, buddy. I seem to have introduced some sort of very, very minor distortion. It's super minor, so I'm not going to worry about it, but I think I might be clipping the stereo space. Okay. Let's try ping pong. I'm not very happy with how this delay is coming out. Yeah, I'm not very happy with this delay. I think I'm just gonna leave it off, to be honest. I think that's fine. I'm happy enough with that. I still kind of, I don't know, I want it to feel like it's in like a chamber. I want it to be in a chamber. I want it to be in a chamber. So I want to get kind of some of those reflections, which a lot of that's going to come from the reverb, but you also get a little bit of that kind of slap back to it, I think. I think that's what I want. I'm not really sure what my brain wants from it, but it doesn't want, it still feels just a little bit dry. Anyways, that's most of that. Let's go to this piano section now. Right here. Actually, do we want that one? Hang on, let me set the snapping back to my quarters. That's fine. Piano is doing more interesting stuff here. Let's go to this section. Okay, that one bell there, we might need to do some work, but let's just deal with what we're focused on right now. Ah, this part right here. Man. Okay, I think I see what you're going for. I wish there's... We might be able to do something about that. Once again, I sort of wish I had, like, the MIDI or something where I could adjust this myself. Put that there. Where did it go? What happened? Huh? Just disappeared on me. Why did it do that? Okay, put that there, and then we're gonna like bump that up like 2 decibels. We're gonna go wacky and say 3, and then we're just gonna fast start. I really wish... Like, what I wish is that that was, like, a harder attack. Dun! You know? Something like that. We can maybe kind of fake it. If we just pull this down, like, -3. Let's just set this shape to fast end, so... Comes right back up and hopefully isn't too distracting. Why does it feel like it like suddenly high passed? What the fuck? Let's move this forward just a little bit and we'll bring it up to 4. Okay. Maybe this right here is a little bit too quiet. So the cello, they're kind of doing the same part, so I want some separation between them. And for just the time being, I want to just do this section. We'll come back to there. We have some points to address, but for now, we'll just leave it like that. So for this, it kind of takes a lead role, so I'm gonna like bring it front. Kind of want some of that room being added back in. We'll do that Studio B we used earlier for the pizzicato strings. And pan it. I have a funny idea I want to try. Just a fun little experiment. Kind of like the fun drums. Let's add a little refractions on here. And, let's just set it to 4 steps. And... I don't know, maybe something like that, and set the subdivision to like 1/8. Set the mix like that. Turn off the reverb. I don't know, it's pretty cool. It kind of almost makes it sound like a harpsichord. What if we put that before OTT? I kind of don't hate it, actually. But I said I was gonna be neutral. Okay. I don't want to add too, like, characterful processing like that, so I won't do that. But I didn't hate it. I do kind of want a little slap back on that, though. I like the spacey delay, but I'm gonna add another, like, slap back delay to it as well. Oops, I changed camera. Just hang on just a second. There we go. I pressed the shortcut key for rename is F2, which happens to be the switch camera thing. My bad. Okay. We've been fucking around with that for longer than necessary. I don't know, I'm kind of getting a little wacky here with the experimentation. Okay, it's sounding pretty good. Guess we can add a little trid on there just to add some air and vibrance to it. I think that's okay. I want to move this back there. Bring this down. Honestly, the EQ we had before is doing most of the heavy lifting, so honestly the trid A seems a little bit unnecessary. So we're just gonna have it just add a tiny little bit of flavor to it, but not a lot. We're getting much closer. Just a few items left. Clarinets, the synth tickle, and then there's some things we need to take care of, you know, long term over the song. Like, I think this, we need to, in fact, let's just do that now while I'm talking about it. I just want to kind of bring this down just a little bit. So the one thing is, too, this is kind of a creative decision, but, yeah, what I want is some separation between these two sections. Does the bell hit on that? Yes. Feels like the kick comes in just a little bit late. So actually, you need some sort of like crash or something. It sounds so dry. Like this, as it was, is kind of unexciting. Because it's like, it's clearly emphasizing this note here, right? Like it goes through this pattern. So, like, to me, it feels like it's a good dramatic end to that phrase. It feels more impactful when I remove the kick here, but now without it, this comes in quite boringly. It needs like a crash cymbal to like, we're bringing it in, right? If I leave it as it is, it doesn't feel as necessary, but this note just loses a lot of impact. So I might break my rules on adding character, but I think what I want to do is I just want to add just a crash cymbal, okay? Just a crash cymbal, that's all it is. And we'll go with just the light kit. I should have saved, I forgot that sometimes it doesn't crash, but it hangs up long enough on this screen that it scares me enough that it might crash. Okay, cool. Let's save. Okay, probably don't want it at 127. Okay. And honestly, I'd probably even like put some sort of build up before going into this, but it's okay. Yeah. I don't know which one it is. Normally I use 2 screens for this, but I want you to see what I'm doing. There. Okay, this one. Kind of lengthen the attack. There. Oops. That seems good. Okay. And then we just need to mix it. I didn't mean to close that. Old habits. Very, very old habits. Just want to lower it down. Do a little cut like that. And maybe it around... Yeah, we'll just leave it like that for now. And of course we want it to be nice and wide and spacey. We want to fill up the whole stereo space with it. So where is... Do we want a lexicon? No, let's do this one. I like Cello Studio on it. The tail is not as long as I would hope though. I didn't mean to click that. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna... Yeah, probably right around there. I don't know. We'll put it at 4,500. Just a small little dip there, but we're gonna bring up all of the trebles together. We just don't want that really, really harsh part to come up too high. You know what? I kind of want... That one's a little bit too bright of a crash. Let's try the China. Why not? Let's bring this down so I can see what the fuck I'm doing. making me kind of just wish there's a more of a drum kit to, to this as well. You just have this kick, this very repetitive kick. This is what I want to hear. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It sounds so much nicer. It gives so much more energy to the song. It's a little bit dim. I think I should lift the highs. Yeah. Maybe just some of that cello room. Yeah, but see, it doesn't work because of the structure of the song. It's like the snare comes in and then it disappears. And actually, I'm wondering if even my choice here is not very good. Maybe not. What if we just left this going? Actually, I wonder if, this one? I'm gonna have to delete all of this here. Kind of just repeat this little pattern. Is that what I want to hear? Yeah. Ah, Reaper. Where's this? Here, yeah. I just want to copy these two. here? I think it's gonna be here. No, not that. Maybe... Well, maybe both, honestly. Let's just start with that one. I don't even know if this is the right place, the right pattern I'm hearing in my head. So we'll just start with that. No, that's not the pattern I'm hearing. I don't think it's that either, but whatever, let's just do it. We need to loop this. Yeah! Now I'm adding my own. I've broken. I am way past breaking my fucking rules on this shit, man. I can't help it. These drums are so dull, damn it. They need some fucking life to them. Honestly, I would separate them. I'd separate their track too. I hate how overemphasized the plastic is on these guys. And part of that's probably my own EQing, but still. God, it just brings so much more life to it. Alright, let's hear what we have so far. And then I might need to take a break. We're nearing 3 hours. Oh, they... Wow. Okay, we need to do some adjustments on those bells. One thing I do want to do real quick, I'm gonna cut here and here, that's probably fine. And going to actually move it here like that and take this. Glue item and then reverse. Okay. And what I want to do is like that, like this, and why? What? What is happening here? Okay, there we go. That's what I want. There. Okay. Do that. That's fine. Yeah, there we go. Oh my gosh. I'm getting so distracted with nonsense bullshit. I like it though. What happens after this loop? Hang on. Maybe we need to bring this back in for this section here. Maybe repeat this but with the toms. Yeah, I think so. I think I want the same rhythm, but with the toms. So I'm just gonna leave that alone. Maybe this. This, bring it there, and then these ones we're gonna lift up a little bit. How come I can't hear these? Where'd they go? Okay, they're very quiet. All right, I got it. We're gonna wait. Yeah, these ones here. It's kind of the pulse of the beat, so we want to bring that one up. sounding pretty nice, pretty nice. I guess we go back into this. I'd want to emphasize that ba-dum, ba-dum, da. Oh, I like that little trill that you did there. That was nice. One more time. Where's the piano? Here it is. Yeah, that little trill is nice. There's some nice little touches to the overall music. Just the drums suck! That's my biggest complaint, having now worked on this song. These drums are stale. Feel that rhythm. Yeah! Makes me want to groove. I kind of want to do right here something. Oops, not that. I don't want to dun with to accent that. Okay, but I'm getting hungry. It's lunchtime. I want to take a break, but I want to wrap up the last two parts that we have here, and then I'll take a break and then come back and kind of finish up the song. So just the synth tickle. There's not a lot I want to do to this actually. I quite like it dry and forward. Basically, I just want to clean it up a little bit. Honestly, this one should be a low shelf, I think. I'll put it at like 350. Maybe 400. Just need to clean up some of these top end frequencies. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, add a little charm to it with the Trade. I don't really want to do a lot with this. Just a little air. Little bump here. Bump here. Cut there. Cut there. Oh, why not? Both of them. And yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe bring it forward just a little bit. I'm gonna bring it back into Unity here. There we go. It's not quite back into Unity, but that's okay. I think that's fine. I almost, let's do a little wacky something here. Let's get the pan going. Okay. All right, you feeling me? You feeling me? I'm gonna put that there and put, really I want to put it here, but that's okay. Put that there, put that there. We'll just kind of move it around a little bit. I'm gonna put this kind of midway there. I didn't mean to move that other one. Put this one probably about right there. That's okay right there. And we're gonna set all of these to square. And we'll put this one like, we'll put it there. And put this one. Why is it not square? It should be square. Okay, well, I'll fix that in just a second. And then value 0. There we go. It should be a square. Square. Okay. Okay. It's a square. And this one. Oh, I just realized there should probably be one more here. This one goes right about there. This one, we need to set the value back to 0 and set it to square. All right, all right. Honestly, actually, oh, well, yeah, this needs to be set to square. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I do feel like this, loses some volume. Is it square? I don't think it's square. Why? It is square. Oh, I know why. And I just want to put this to like 1. And it did that. Why did it do that? Okay. There we go. Okay, and the last one we need to do is the clarinets. I'm so hungry. All right, let's get the clarinets done. You have some... What I want to do... Yeah, these are quite resonant here. And then this is kind of like the breath. Oops. I want to bring up the breath, bring down the resonance. OCD. It's gotta be round numbers. Okay. And it's... Okay, I was thinking I'd kind of do a wide thing with them, but actually what I think I want to do instead, having now heard what it's kind of paired with here, is I think I just want to pan it to the right pretty heavily, a little bit heavily. Just like that. Not that much. And it needs a little space in it. Let's just add the Studio B. And maybe another layer of reverb. Do Cello Studio. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Let's give it a listen of everything that I've done so far and see how it's sounding. And I'll think about what needs to be done to kind of wrap it up before we get to the mastering stage. But I think that's all the tracks now. We'll probably go back through and do a little bit more cleanup on the EQ, kind of some minor touch up on things. But that at least has like the basic kind of everything's panned, everything has its space. The most important, like the broad stroke cleanup EQ has been done on everything. So let's give that a listen. That's a little bit loud. Not bad, not bad. I like it. I think my drums added a lot of life to it. One thing I want to do here, actually, that just cuts off way too quickly for my taste. So I want to kind of fake this reverb kind of thing that I'm gonna do here. Maybe without lowering the volume so much. Maybe with a little bit of lowered volume. Oh, I see. I see what's going on here. Actually, that's kind of what I wanted to do. But for now, let's just clean that up. Set the value to like, I don't know, 3. Set this value to 0. That didn't clip, did it? Okay. See, I wish the tempo was a little bit faster too. It'd give it more energy. Kind of wish, and with these, I kind of wish it had more energy in it. It's just you get that one, and then a whole pause, and then another one. I wish there was a dun dun dun, like dun dun dun. Oh well, we're working with what we got. Real quick, let's just check. Yeah, we're still just barely licking the top there. It's gotten probably a little bit quieter, to be honest, because I think it was licking the ceiling more frequently than that before. So from all of my EQing and processing and stuff like that, I've probably lost a little bit of the overall volume, so that's okay. We'll bring that back in later. Okay, that's 3 hours of working on this. I'm gonna take a short break, and then we're gonna get back to it. We're gonna finish this today. All right. All right. Oh, my microphone is over there. Let's get the microphone back. Okay, there we go. That's what's missing. Okay, so I've eaten lunch now. I'm back. Let's wrap this up. I've given it a few listens on my monitor speakers because I've been mixing it with just my headphones this whole time. So, there's some things I might want to adjust ever so slightly from what I hear with my speakers, but I will probably have to do that off the recording, because otherwise, if I have the volume up on my speakers, and you will also hear it in the microphone, and it's going to cause recording problems. So, rather than do that, I'll just do it off the recording. It's just going to be some minor EQ adjustments and volume adjustments and stuff like that, and panning as well, because you get more natural stereo separation with speakers, because of course they pass through the air and in through the room, where you get reflections and diffusions and all of that good stuff. While with headphones, you don't really get that. You just have the unnatural left and right sound. And then, of course, psychoacoustics to blend to create a middle, so. Okay, yeah, sounds pretty good. I was making some touch-ups there. I also did just a couple of minor touch-ups, not recording, like shortly just after I finished my lunch. I just made a couple of minor adjustments, nothing too big, like... I adjusted the EQ on the synth tickle as well as its overall volume. I think I adjusted the volume envelope here. Right, so I want to accent this little section. Where is it? This. So just quarters. That's pretty easy. Let's see how that sounds. I want to adjust the kick as well, because it's not quite moving with that pattern. I don't mind the eighth there, that's fine. I'm going to leave that. If I need to, I'll remove it. I'm going to... No, that's not what I wanted. Move that to be on to accent note. And that's okay for it to carry on like that. I can't delete that because, okay, that sucks. I'm gonna actually, yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove that, because there's the bell hit in it, and the tail of it is getting cut off, and it sounds bad. So. Okay. So we kind of want to make this version slightly different. I also kind of want to bring in a little bit more energy after this. And for this, instead of the snare... Let's try that. Not bad. Not bad. Oh man, I forgot to set the. Oh my god, Nolan. Maybe, yeah, we can. Sounds kind of messy right here. Okay. I want to fix these drums here, just like I did over here. So I'm just gonna copy this. That's not correct. I see what happened there. That. And actually what I'm gonna do, I'm also gonna copy this part too. This should not be like that. Okay. Copy that and put it there. And now and I just want one kick on that last note. Okay. Okay, very nice. Where does it loop? I noticed that this has the... Oh, it starts the loop there? Let's listen to this. Okay, it just starts, it just goes right back to the beginning. Okay. So, like this, I think. This is the loop. Let's make sure that let's check how that sounds. Seems alright. I'm gonna bring it forward a little bit like that. And I think I want this just to be a little bit brighter. It doesn't quite seem to match your synthesized drums. Damn it, ran out of drums. Hang on, I'm not done mixing these drums. Come back. Need to bring it back to unity. And it needs to lose a little bit more. That's just, okay, that's the room, okay. Alright, I think that's pretty good. It really kind of stood out here. That sounds much more comfortable in the mix. And I think the one thing I do want to do is just bring its overall volume down just a little bit. Okay. Alright, very nice. We're gonna kind of loop this section where it's like loudest here. It has the most energy and most kind of going on, so we'll leave it there. I just want to make some adjustments to this cello here. I do want a little bit more of its body back in there. Maybe not. Wait, let's bring in MEQ. Okay, there we go. Kind of brighten that up a little bit, kind of reduce some of the lower mids there. You can still hear the pad strings just fine. You can hear the piano just fine. Can we hear this part? Oh yeah, that's cutting through real well. Yeah. Okay. So I think next for the drum mix, we just want to get everything compressed together. Maybe some minor EQing, just some basic cuts as usual, just control headroom. Like that. Just make sure we have no excess frequencies off the edge there. Let's see if we can't just... It's just kind of a lot going on there, so... Just want to tune it just a little bit. Really kind of takes a lot out of the snare. So that's just very minor cut. Okay, and then a little FET 76. Okay, it's not really doing much, but oh well, that's all right. And just clean up the spurious peaks. With a little clip on top. Probably not necessary. I'm just gonna bring it right to the very, very tippy top. Put it at like 25%. Just to catch anything, any stray peaks. Yeah, like that. Okay. I think that's gonna handle our drum mix. I think for the most part, everything is good. So next I want to start moving things into their, into the verb send, the reverb send. So let's start going through that. I'm going to route these one at a time. Sometimes the folder, sometimes the individual tracks. So let's just start from the top. No, we need to set up the reverb first. What reverb do we want to use? I'm going to use the lexicon. Or I'll set it to modern mode. And probably the large concert hall. That's kind of the vibe of this song. But I am going to bring its decay down. And just to control some of the frequencies afterwards. We don't want any... We don't want bass reverb muddying up everything, so we'll just cut from there. And then we don't want the reverb to be too noticeable, so we'll just slightly shelf it off. Yeah, maybe 4 is okay. Bring it down. Okay, now let's start routing things. So bells, send to verb send. We don't want... Well, I guess MIDI doesn't matter. There's no MIDI data. And the bells, it's fine for them to be... We'll leave it at 0. Yeah, it's fine. We'll call this the Nybox mix, and we'll just route the whole Nybox mix, because, I mean, it's only there for the beginning. I want them to be pretty forward, so I'm gonna put it to like -10. Piano as well. I think I want a lot of these things to be pretty front and center, so this one also will be like -10. How's that sound? Okay. That's actually probably too much, but okay. Clarinets, we'll route. Verb send. These ones can be a little bit more forward, maybe 5. Verb send, I like it being front, so actually I want to make it super dry. We're gonna put it all the way at -12. We're just gonna route the whole string mix through the verb send. Put that at like -8. And finally route the whole drums through it too, and put that one at like -10. Let's see how that sounds. Pretty good, pretty good. Let's go here. Seems okay. We'll give it a listen. Might want a little more tail to it. The bells have gotten really funky. Right, so the routing is... We need to adjust that. They are already pretty spacey in the back, so actually rather than add too much reverb to them, why don't we pull them back a little forward a little bit. Yeah, it's okay. I think here is like one of the most important parts for the bells. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, that seems fine. Label these real quick. Crash. More fun drums. Okay, so real quick, let's check how that sounds. More alive. I feel like mine has a lot more life in it. Robro's has more body, but that's also because he kind of has like the cello is very, very muddy. But I might try to bring some of that body back into the mix when we go to the master bus. I guess we can kind of do that now. Yeah? I think there's nothing else that needs to be done. So, okay. So now we'll go to the master bus, and I'm gonna do some kind of final mixing on this, but we might need to come back to the individual tracks and make some tiny adjustments here or there. But first, let's just get started with this. Let's keep it at this kind of loudest part here and see how this is doing. Yeah, even for a loud part, you know, we got a lot of headroom. So we got a lot to work with here, so why don't we just start moving stuff around. We'll leave this. We want to mono the bass. That's what that was for. And then, again, just want to kind of clean up any stray frequencies at the end, at the bottom and top. And we'll kind of add parts where necessary. I mean, there's basically nothing there, but might as well just give it the cut. From like 35, it's usually where I put it. Put this one there. Okay. This one, oops, I want to put like that, put that at around 420. Yeah, that seems fine. We'll add a little bit of air back into this. And you know what I want to do actually real quick? I want to add soothe, let's close this, soothe here to the cello to deal with those lower peaks. Let's actually put it here. Yeah, and we want to create a band shelf, probably right around there. basically just want to move this. So that way it handles that. And I think that helps me pull back on this a little bit. It's gonna balance it out a lot better. This is gonna allow me to kind of lift everything up together without accidentally overemphasizing this lower end. So let's take 2 here. We'll put it at like 1200. I'm gonna do something kind of wacky here. We're gonna put a low shelf and then just kind of boost the whole lower part. That brings some more body into it. We'll add some saturation too, because why not? Bring it back to Unity. So that way we still have the body, but we don't really have those resonant tones that were really muddying things up. Because we kind of dealt with them here. Just kind of curious, what happens if we like really bring this up? I think that actually sounds better. It sounds, as the name implies, soothed. That was a fun little experiment. I think that worked out pretty well. I don't know, it's a little bit aggressive, actually. Just a little bit. I'll tell you what, we'll knock it off on the mix here. Maybe make it 90%. Okay, yeah. Alright, I think that kind of helps. That allows us to add some body back to the track without, you know, having those resonant frequencies kind of poop all over the track. So, very good, very good. That's gonna help a lot. Okay. I'm gonna throw in a little... You know, I don't often put Trid A on the master bus because I've already put Trid A on like every other track individually. I have tried in the past and it kind of just makes things not quite to how I want them, but I feel like in this case it might be okay. So if we just add... we'll be very gentle with it. Bring that air in. A lot of characters around 3,000, so we'll bring a little bit of that character out, just a little bit. And the 500 is where the body is at. Yeah, it's sounding nice and warm. And bump it with the low shelf. Okay, and I'm gonna bring it back to Unity. It's subtle, but it's there. I think that's a nice little, very subtle touch, a nice enhancement to it overall. So, okay. Next, I do typically put Soothe on my master bus. I do something kind of weird with it. I actually use 2 iterations of it. The first one is just to kind of get a broad soothing across the whole thing. So we don't have a lot of sharpness, just like 2. With low selectivity. Maybe not quite that high. Like this, that just kind of goes across the whole thing. And then we have a more targeted soothe that comes in after. So this one will be like the high sharpness, high selectivity. I kind of want to not... I don't want it to target this upper part so much. Yeah, I think we can add a little bit more depth to it. Okay, one last EQ. It's probably fine. Put the compressor on it, just to tame peaks. At like -10. Like a very soft knee. That's fine. Finally, we go here. We'll bring this down. What frequency is it? 150? Okay, that's fine. Okay, there we go. All right. Wow. And now we start boosting this slowly, slowly, slowly. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I think that gives us the general feeling. Let's listen through it again before we call it. Yeah, let's listen to what we got. Okay, that's not bad. Not bad for a pretty quick pass. There's something about the snare that has kind of a weird EQ on it. That's is it something that I did, or what's going on there? I'm not really sure. It's kind of bothering me. It's not like super major, but I wish it sounded more sharp and crisp. But it sounds like there's some sort of kind of muddiness in like the upper mid-range. I'm not sure what I'm hearing there. I probably need a break from the song longer than, you know, just a lunch break. Typically, I whenever I'm doing mixing, I like to, you know, give myself a day. Like one day I'll do like most of the mixing, and then the next day I'll come back to it and kind of finalize everything. So, but I don't know if I want to spend that much time on this song because it was just a little distraction. I just wanted to help Robro out. So what I am going to do is I think I'm pretty happy with where we have it now. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm probably going to go ahead and render out what I have. This is what I normally do with my own music too, by the way. I'm going to render out what I have, and I'm going to throw it on my phone, and I'm going to, whatever, my Bluetooth headphones are over there. I'm going to listen to it on my Bluetooth headphones, go for a walk, and see if anything particular stands out that needs to be adjusted, or for me to at least check on my nicer equipment than my Bluetooth headphones. And yeah, after taking it for a walk, then I can make any final adjustments, but I think that's what I want. I could probably get it louder, but like I said, we're not trying to make a super loud song. I'm trying to keep it very dynamic as the original was, so it's a lot of compression happened over here, but it's still much more gentle than a lot of my own music, so yeah. All right. Well, oops, there we go. Okay, well, like I said, I think that really kind of covers the general process. We've gone through pretty much every stage from mixing the individual tracks to doing the verb send to even doing the master bus. So we've walked through all the stages. From this point on, it's just, you know, like minor tweaking to knobs and EQs and whatever else. So it becomes a lot less interesting to watch. So that's probably something I need to do in like off camera. Also, I can use my speakers, which will help me out as well with some final mixing. So anyways, so I guess if you watch through this whole thing, which is at least for recording, I have another hour here. That last one was 3 hours. So that's like 4 hours of watching me do work. I'll cut it up. It probably won't be 4 hours for you guys, but it'll still be quite lengthy. So, yeah, I hope if you are interested in that kind of stuff, I hope that this was interesting to you and helpful and informative and a learning experience. And, excuse me. And, yeah, I'd love to do something like this again. If anyone who's watching, you know, does music, if I'm interested, if I think your song is something that I can enjoy working on, then I would be happy to do this for your own music. Anyone can send me their music and I'll try to mix it and do something similar to this. So yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do everyone's song because I might not be interested in your music. But anyways, feel free to send it to me anyways, or just ask. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one, maybe. Bye.